Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, angels and demons, and monsters and serpents. This is Brothers of the Serpent podcast, and we are coming to you not live from the 10 by 10 by 10 tangent cube of science, where we are nestled amongst the dusty bones of an ancient seabed high atop the Everest Plateau. And this episode, we have an excellent guest. We're actually recording this intro after we've already spoken to him. It was a fantastic conversation. You guys are going to love it. And I want to give a shout out to Chandra, who recommended this guy, and she was like, you're going to love it. And she was totally right.
Totally right.
So it's amazing.
Thank you, Chandra.
So our guest this week is Jason Quitt. He is the author of Astral Experiences, Gates of the Anunnaki, Astral Genesis, and Egyptian Postures of Power. So he is a prolific author. And he has been teaching and lecturing on the subjects of mysticism, out-of-body experiences, astral projection, meditation, and Qigong? Is it
Qigong. This is Brad's thing.
Yes,
remember?
I thought of Brad when I heard that he does
I was like, dang,
Qigong.
Brad's got some window into the spiritual
Yeah.
world through this stuff.
But what
he invited me to do some Qigong, and
he
I
has invited us.
couldn't get up early enough.
Yeah, why do you have to do it at 6 a.m., Brad? Yeah.
It's when the sun rises. It's important.
Oh, you have to do it when the sun rises. Okay. Well, so Jason is an expert on a lot of those subjects, but what we spoke to him specifically about was his work on basically some very interesting things he's found in mythology and ancient symbolism from places around the world.
Measuring ancient symbolism.
Yes, measurements in ancient symbolism and the connections to the sky. So there is some overlap a little bit with Matheson, but Jason really like brings it home with some sacred geometry, basically, that he's showing you in these symbols and saying, like, they're not only are these ancient cultures, which we all know, you guys, Snake Force knows this because we've been talking about it for years, they tell the same story with different names and different places, but it's the same story being told over and over. But he's showing that they're also using the same systems of measurement and the same sort of sacred geometry and astral motif in their imagery. And it was an excellent conversation. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So here it is, our conversation with author Jason Quitt. I have been excited about this interview for a while now. We have Jason Quitt joining us. Jason has had a couple of, I think, mind-blowing moments while looking into mythology and ancient texts, the kind that Snake Bros and the Snake Force love. So, Jason, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
It's good to be here. It's good to share.
Yeah. So why don't you start with giving a little bit of background about yourself? And then we can move into how you, like, what was your path into looking into this kind of stuff? And then we'll dive into the material itself and the interesting things you found in the symbology and imagery of ancient texts and mythology.
Sure. I came in here out of left field, completely left field. I was, I'm what you would call like an experiencer. So, grew up with a lot of paranormal things, and then in my early 20s, I had a lot of out-of-body experiences, which just basically changed my view of everything. And once I had these out-of-body experiences, I couldn't really function in society anymore because, you realize that, okay, you're more than a physical body, you exist outside of it, and, when you die, there's a part of you that lives on. So this was a real shift in my awareness in my early 20s. And we're, going back to like 2002, 2003. So I've been kind of on this path for a long time. And in a lot of these journeys, I would be taken back to Egypt and I'd be taught by these teachers, mainly with meditations and postures and different things. And I was never into Egypt. I really didn't care about it. So for me to have these experiences, it really opened me up to try to figure out, what am I learning? What is this Egyptian stuff that's being taught to me? And this kind of pulled me into the ancient history world and meditation and shamanism and all types of strange subgenres, you would say, in the healing world. And this is kind of what brought me to becoming more public and doing writing books and doing events. It's just all the information that I've been gathering for 20 plus years. I'm starting to just give it out, talk about it, and that's where I got here. But with the topic we're going to be discussing today, with about Egypt and with about mythology and all these things, it really does go back to this root of, I was very interested in what ancient cultures knew about the spiritual side of things. And as you know, Egypt was very spiritual.
Oh yeah.
So it always talks about, like the Egyptian Book of the Dead, where they're weighing your heart in front of Osiris against the feather of Ma'at, the truth. And I was always interested in this kind of Egyptian Book of the Dead stuff, and I just really wanted to figure out, is there kind of like a reflection between the spiritual world that I was experiencing and the spiritual world that's been talked about and taught in ancient cultures and civilizations. So that's kind of where my path first started. And, I thought a lot, like Zachariah Stitchin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when you first get into this, I was really into the kind of conspiracy side of things. I was, the gods came down and all these things. And that was kind of, for me, I just kind of said, okay, that's what it is. And I really wanted to read these foundational texts. I really want to go back to the Sumerian tablets. I wanted to read the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the pyramid text, the coffin text. Like, I really wanted to get into it to see what their mindset was of these spiritual realms and their journey through these spiritual realms. And as I was going through that, I started to realize that it was very different than what's being advertised in this new age community. Very different. So I sort of had to let go of what I thought was true, and then just dive into the words that these ancient societies are telling us. And the key to all of this was the stars. It's like, once I learned this kind of mythology or language of the stars, it kind of opened up this whole other side to these texts. And that's what I'm most passionate about, is trying to teach people that there is this type of celestial archetypes that whoever these people were in cultures that are far back, we don't probably even know them, the stars were like the most important things. The journey of the sun was the most important things. The moon was the earth. It was almost like this kind of shamanic understanding of the cycles of time. And once you understand this language, you start to see it everywhere in these texts cross-culturally.
Yes.
Yep. I agree with that. The way that processional numbers pop up all the time was the first way that we were recognizing it. Like you're reading a text and it's telling you a story about a war, but then there's 72 people and then there's 144 battles, and and you're like, and there's 108 days, and you start to see all these processional numbers, and they're like little flags that pop up and tell you, like, yes, there's hidden information here.
That's exactly what the book Gates of the Anunnaki is about. The one that I wrote was about taking all those numbers that are found. Like, why is this number in the Epic of Gilgamesh? Like, why are they saying these numbers? And then you take them and you plot them, and it's like this sacred geometry map of the cycles.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
That's
really
right.
cool.
Yeah.
Dang it. It's cool. Are you familiar with the work of David Matheson?
No.
Okay, because he's kind of going down that he's basically the same idea, is that like all these myths are talking about the stars. Like,
Yeah.
that's his whole thing too.
Yeah.
And he's really interested in just astronomy. So he goes out and he's memorized all the constellations, and he can go out and with a laser pointer and sit there and tell you stories about it.
He can tell you all the different
it's
stories.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does good work. So I think, yeah, you guys are sort of on a parallel.
I think you might enjoy talking to him for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You guys need to get together.
For sure. No, I love getting together with people that know this stuff. And the thing is, it's like once you see it and once you know it, it's the same thing as leaving your body. It's like you can never unsee it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once you know this kind of greatest story ever told, which is the story of the stars in procession, and the characters, which are the constellation and the stars and the sun and the moon and the planets, once you know that kind of story, you start hearing tales and myths from cultures all around the world, and you're like, okay, the characters are different, the locations are different, the story is different, but the main elements are exactly the same. It's following the same motif. So
that begs the question,
Yeah.
like how, I know that basically like the constellations are essentially the groupings of bright stars. But of course, if you look at all the bright stars, you could group them differently than these traditional groupings. You know, some of the stars could be part of this constellation and vice versa. So the question is like, who originally made the groups of stars, and then how did that information get all over the world?
Yeah.
Going all the way back to the earliest civilizations that we know of. It's incredible.
And mostly they're the same animals. And when you look at them, you're like, that doesn't look like a bull, you know?
Yes.
See, this is the whole question that I had in my book Astral Genesis, which was, where did this information come from? And, when you look at Pillar 43, for example, of Göbekli Tepe, and, you see that beautiful scorpion right on it. You have the bird holding the sun.
Yeah.
You have the serpents. It's all these symbols that are star symbols, and the groupings of it match the sky for specific times of the year. So, if you date that back, let's say 11,000 years, let's say, or more, that means it's a fully understood concept 12,000 years ago, which means that information came through the last ice age.
Yes.
Now, here's the other issue, is that after Göbekli Tepe and the sites of ancient Anatolia, like once that was gone, and you're going down into Mesopotamia, you're having these ancient Neolithic peoples coming into that land, and they're pre-pottery. Like it goes from these megalithic structures to pottery, and then you start seeing these symbols again, more west. More east, which is ancient Persia, like Iran area. So the other side of those mountains. And that goes to about 5,000, 6,000 BC. So there's this gap in time of about 5,000, 6,000 years where there's really no symbology that can be found except for this symbology of the guy with like the two serpents in his hands. Or the two lions, the master of animals. You see this kind of motif kind of coming through, going back even to 7,000, 8,000 BC. So there's this strange symbolic route that you see it go from, let's say, like Göbekli Tepe down into Mesopotamia. So the question is, was there like a record keeper, like we'll call it like a secret society that kind of kept this knowledge and passed it down, and then, or was it rediscovered? Like we have archaeologists in our time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ancient archaeologists.
What if they came upon a site? Like even if you look at ancient Sumerian mythology, like the Epic of Gilgamesh. The Epic of Gilgamesh starts out by describing the great city of Gilgamesh, Uruk, and he's saying that the city is built on the ancient ruins pre-flood of the seven sages.
Yep.
You know, and he's very proud of it. He's like, I've used the cornerstone of this ancient civilization. So is it possible that these ancient people, let's say Sumerians, came upon an ancient city, did archaeology and found all this information, decoded it, and it gave them this kind of boost of civilization?
100%. Right.
Yeah.
And in
So there's actual evidence at Göbekli Tepe that building C, the like if you're looking at the main one, and then building C is kind of below on the right if you're looking at a view, a plan of it, top down. It has these enormous central pillars. They probably would have been the biggest central pillars of the whole complex. Of course, they're broken. But when they were excavating it, they found that those central pillars had been dug up like almost 6,000 years after the site was originally occupied. So somebody came and excavated down there. Now they think that they destroyed the pillars, but it's possible also that they dug them up, and because they were exposed, they got destroyed over time.
Yeah.
So somebody was doing archaeology in the lion enclosure, which you can't visit, but there's images of it. There's more evidence that when they're digging it up, they show you a picture of the sidewall. There's a ramp that someone had excavated that enclosure down and made a ramp where they could get down inside to see the pillars and everything. So definitely they were doing ancient archaeology.
Like I think it's very, very plausible.
Absolutely.
That they discovered something and decoded. Like, this is what I don't like about archaeology and this kind of mindset that our ancient people, they weren't capable of having this intelligence or finding these things out and doing it themselves. And, you know, they say, okay, well, it's aliens or something. But I think they're quite capable of it. Yeah.
It also happens, I think, in the apocryphal text, the Book of Jubilees. I think it's the Book of Jubilees, where after the flood, one of Noah's descendants, so Noah had... Basically, they had all been banned from knowing any of the technologies that had been taught to humans by the Watchers pre-flood, right? And this was part of the reason why the world was destroyed, because the Watchers had corrupted it with their seed and their information. But one of Noah's descendants goes looking, when he grew up, he goes looking for a place to found his own area with his family and everything like that, and he finds it says he found some ancient stones with knowledge from the antediluvian civilization on it, and he read it, and then he was too ashamed to go and tell Noah what had happened, because now he had broken the law of God or something by reading this ancient information. So again, it's like this hint that there was they
were the pillars too, right? It was
pillars,
the pillars of Boaz and
it just says he found a stone with the writing.
Okay.
But the point is that there's throughout quite a few of these stories, there's this hint that there was this previously advanced civilization that was destroyed in some kind of cataclysm, but some information was left over that people after the cataclysm recovered. And then, of course, there's the civilizer gods, right? When you're mentioning the imagery of the guy holding the serpents, Viracocha in Peru, especially on the Sun Gate, he's depicted holding at least one serpent. The other side might be a bird. But he's holding, it's like the same.
And again, that symbology there, that very prevalent with the serpent and the puma and the condor all on top of each other. And it's like, are you sure that doesn't...
And I think that is the greatest symbol that we can say there was some type of contact between civilizations.
Yeah.
Because if you see it, you see it going back on these ancient cylinder seals or ancient stamps that they found even in Neolithic times in Mesopotamia area. And then you find it going back 4,000 years, 3,000 years in Peru. Okay, very big distance. But you see this thing all over the world, and still nobody really understands or has decoded what this symbology is. And I think I figured it out.
All right.
Sweet.
That's all right. I'm interested in that.
Very cool.
Yeah, let's see it.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I also wanted to ask you, maybe we'll do this after we get into it a little bit more, but I am interested because you're coming at this from like unlike what we did, which is we were coming at it from like how did they build these things perspective. You're coming at it from what did they know about the spiritual realm perspective, right?
Yeah.
So it seems apparent to me, at least, that the ancients gave forces of nature agency. That they decided that things like the sun and even just wind or gravity, Mother Earth is holding us down. Like it has agency. It's doing it on purpose. It isn't just a mechanistic, like fundamental force from the universe, but that it has a consciousness attached to it. So, is that before we get into the symbols, I do want to know, like when you were going through the ancient texts and looking in to see what the ancients knew about the spiritual world and everything, was that also your impression? And did you think that that's correct from your own experiences?
Well, my background is also in shamanism, so it has to do with the way the earth speaks to you, in a way. So everything, like you just said, has agency. And if you go back to the concept of the netter, of the gods of Egypt, everything was a god or a goddess. It came, actually it was both. Each thing, let's say like the air, had a god and a goddess. Like there was two versions of it, male and female. Now, there is like 1,500 plus netter in Egypt because everything was basically a force of nature. But when you're looking at, and this goes back to the earlier question about, why is there a scorpion? Or why is there a snake? Why is there a lion? And how did these symbols become the symbols of the zodiac or the symbols of the stars? And it has to do with observing nature. What's the most important time in ancient Egypt, in the ancient Mesopotamia? It was the wet season. So it's when the Nile inundated, created the black soil, and then new life came. Well, what happens when the Nile rises? It comes up and it fills the snake holes on the shore. So now the snakes and the spiders and the scorpions, their holes get flooded with water. So what happens? They all get out and they go to the homes, they go up the shore to where the people are. So they it's this sign from nature that when these stars are in the sky, these things are happening on the earth.
That's really cool. That reminded me, just a quick story. We walked to a reservoir during a flood to watch the water rise up in the reservoir. And that's exactly what happened. All this debris was floating at the edge. And as it was rising up, we realized it's a bunch of scorpions all over this debris. There was just thousands of them, and ants and other bugs. It was just, but the scorpions were like, we don't want to be here when this water overflows.
Right.
And this is why, and this is why you see like the goddess with the scorpion on her head, a version of Isis or a version of Hathor, because basically it has to do with the waters. So they took these symbols and they put them together shamanically to say that this is the god of this time, of this weather pattern, of this season. And when you see these animals, or when you see these stars, expect these animals to show, or expect these animals to breed. Or like with Taurus in the sky, it's when the bulls, you need to get the bulls and the cows ready for the next season. To plow the fields. When you see the plow in the heavens, you have to plow the fields. Mm-hmm. So all of these things were connected to the stars, and it was almost like a farmer's almanac, basically. The stars were a farmer's almanac, and we still use the stars today in that way, so that when you would see that star system come into the sky, they say, okay, now we have to prepare for this cycle of life.
Yeah.
And that is a form of technology, right? That's a civilizational technology, and so are the stories that they made about these imagery, right? They'd make these stories that people would tell and retell and retell, and this is also a form of technology.
Yeah.
The ability to make an interesting story that people will tell each other, that can also contain hidden information where somebody with the right knowledge can hear it and extract information from it that the person who's telling the story may not even know.
It's the best form of technology because it's civilization building information.
Yeah.
And, I in the books, I say like the first technology is the technology of knowing how to measure the stars and the seasons. The moment you understand the environment you're in and the cycles, then you become master of the cycles. You know exactly when to plant the seeds, when to harvest, all these things that you need to build a society or to maintain a society. Because if you have a large population of people and you don't understand the cycles and you plant the seeds at the wrong time, your whole society is going to die.
Yeah.
This was very important information.
Yeah.
Yep. And we also see, of course, in the imagery, this obsession with fertility, all of that sort of thing, which, when you think about it, that's also the most important thing for humans is like, well, we have to reproduce. Like that is the number one thing. If we can't do that, we're doomed.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't know, it's weird. There's not like it's so prevalent in ancient imagery that I think of how weird it is actually, not that they produce so much imagery on fertility, but that we don't. There's this, you know what I'm saying? There's this weird sort of like, we don't produce imagery on that.
Right. It's sort of taboo.
As like a public, like awareness thing. Like, yeah, this is like the greatest thing we need to focus on.
Right. It's the whole point.
Yeah. It's the
Well,
whole point.
you see that a lot in Egypt, especially with the
100%,
bull,
yeah.
which was the symbol of virility, and well, I'm not going to go down that. But you understand, it's like that was life. It was literally the symbol of life.
Yeah.
Was fertility. There was no
Yeah.
life without that.
Yeah. But okay, so winding back a bit to my previous question, like we spent 5 weeks in Peru very recently, and it struck me while we were there, and I already knew this from Egypt, but it struck me while we were there because of the types of imagery they have there, and the personification of the sun is very prevalent there. Everywhere you went, every restaurant, every hotel, every ancient site, they have these depictions of the sun with a face, everywhere you go. And I kept thinking about this concept of like sun worship. But what it really was is that it seemed to me that they gave it agency. They viewed it as a conscious entity, right? That it wasn't just, we look at it now like, oh, it's a ball of thermonuclear fire powered by gravity, but they're basically saying, no, it's an entity, it's a being, and it has agency and a consciousness. And it's more like they were acknowledging its power as opposed to worshiping it. I think worship may be the wrong word. But I guess what I'm getting at is, do you think that this is true? Like from your experiences paranormal, like from your kind of experiences in the paranormal and like astral travel and shamanism, you think the sun is a conscious entity?
I would just say that the sun is life, basically. So if you're saying is it a conscious being, it's like we are the sun, and that's what the Inca is the children of the sun.
Right.
We are radiant beings. We have infrared light coming off of us. There are cameras that can actually pick up the light discharge. In dark spaces, you can pick up the light coming from our bodies. And I don't know if you've studied or know Alfred Popp
Nope.
for biophotons. Anyways, he was a professor in the university in Munich, I think, in Germany, or Frankfurt. And basically he was talking about the relationship between the sun and the human body. And when he was doing his research, he figured out, or what he came to believe, is that when you see the acupuncture points on, let's say, a Chinese medicine doll, he's saying what the acupuncture points are basically solar vacuums. And we're basically pulling in this radiant energy of the sun through our acupuncture points and channeling it through our entire system. Like we need the sun to survive, basically. We need this photonic energy to be healthy.
Wow.
Modern health people are like, take your vitamin D.
That's
or you will die.
Yeah. I mean, vitamin D is evidence that we need the sun. But I see what you mean. Children of the sun, we are radiant beings ourselves. It is the only reason there's life here.
Yeah.
And I won't press
elements,
this.
all the elements and everything else made in stars.
Exactly. We're all made of star stuff. I won't press it any further, but I have just been contemplating this idea of the sun as a conscious entity, and then I go outside and look at it. And I'm like, are you watching me right now? Like, I don't know. I'm fascinated by this concept.
Well,
like the wind, how the wind will mess with you.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you can see how the ancients thought that it had a spirit and it was mischievous. It was I mean, I get it.
Yes. Well, I mean, like, again, the shamanic world and the shamanic mindset is that everything is conscious. So everything from the stone to the sun to the wind has this kind of being that you can commune with and work with. Yeah.
I like that idea. Yeah. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Well, if a rock ever messes with me, I'm going to be upset. I know the wind does it.
I've had a lot of trouble with rocks.
All right, well, let's look at some images, man.
Sure. Well, you know what? There's so much, and I'll just kind of let me see if I can just find something first, because we were talking about basically the symbolism of the serpents.
Sure.
All right,
Absolutely.
so I can just jump right in there.
That's a
That's
great
perfect.
place to start.
Yeah, it's an excellent place to start here on Brothers of the Serpent podcast.
Because one of my favorite images here, which is Horus the Savior.
Horus the Savior. Ah, yes.
And so you see this image of Horus the child, obviously naked, standing on the heads of two crocodiles. In his hands, he has two serpents on each side. In one side, you have a lion. On the other side, you have a scorpion and an oryx. All right, so these are Egyptian animals.
Is that Best on his head? Sorry.
Yes, that is Best on his head. And Best is the god that protects pregnant mothers and children.
Ah.
So you don't mess with Best because he'll mess you up if you mess with kids.
Okay.
And so it's very strange, this symbol, because, when you go into the history books and you learn about this symbol, it says that this is an amulet, and they would hang this image as an amulet in their homes, and it was supposed to protect you from poisonous scorpion bites or snake bites. So, for example, like if you're out and you get a scorpion bite, you can like pour water over this and take that water and put it on your bite to be healed. So this is like this strange kind of magical amulet type of thing. But the symbology of this, once you understand the symbology, it changes it completely. So, if you're just looking at the lion, the scorpion, and the oryx, and the child, and Bess above his head, what does this really mean? And what you see, the thing on his head, his hat, it's like this weird hat where his hair is on one side.
I was thinking that it was like a Phrygian cap, sort of.
Now, I was trying to research this and trying to figure out, where does this come from? And I found a text in the coffin text, spell 531, and it says, the back of your head is that of the dawn crown, your braid is that of the scorpion, right?
Huh.
So when you look at the braid of the scorpion here, there's actually 3 scorpion tails. If you look carefully, it's actually 3 scorpion tails. And It's in the shape of the actual constellation of that we call Scorpio.
Ah.
But let's go back to here. When you go to Horus and you have this kind of symbology of this snake bearer, it's the same symbol as this serpent bearer, which is Ophiuchus,
Ophiuchus, yeah.
the serpent bearer. And, if you look at the symbology that we have today, you have Ophiuchus holding the serpent, and it stands on a scorpion.
Scorpio, yeah.
Yeah.
So very, very similar to this. And if you go back to biblical texts, for example, the vision of Ezekiel's wheels, it talks about the cherubis, and it's the head of a man, head of a lion, head of a bull, and the head of an eagle, which is Scorpio. And they symbolically represent the constellation Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpius in their cardinal points on the zodiac. Now, this is from the Bible, but if you look at Horus, he's holding the same symbols, the same animals that are described in Ezekiel.
Ah.
So if you look at
the
it,
four corners of the heavens.
right. So if you look at Ezekiel, you have the wheel, which is basically wheels within wheels is an ancient symbology of the zodiac. So you have the planets, and then you have the constellations.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have the being, which is the angel with the four heads. And this is basically the cross
Oh, yeah.
of the zodiac. And you can see it in many places, especially with
It's
Jesus.
all over the Catholic imagery.
Exactly.
All
exactly.
over it, yeah.
Exactly. So I believe that the serpent thing is Ophiuchus, but it's a mix. It's not just Ophiuchus, it's the cross of the zodiac. And if we put, if we see how there's no Aquarius, you just have Leo, Scorpio, Taurus. So
Yeah.
where's Aquarius?
Is he?
Well, there's a bird up there.
There's a bird, but he's Aquarius.
He's
That's what I
Aquarius.
was thinking,
Okay.
yeah.
And when you have stories of the water bearer, if you look at the stories in Greek and Roman, where Zeus, the water bearer, is a naked young boy bringing him water. And that was the symbol of Aquarius. And what is the symbol of the Aquarius? It's the symbol of the wet season. So again, it goes back to this kind of shamanic understanding of when you get bit by snakes and scorpions. Well, what time of year is that?
Yeah, spring.
It's when you see those constellations in the sky. So there is a lot. There is a lot. So
That's great.
Let me just so if we get into the rise and fall of Orion, so Osiris was known as Sa in ancient Egypt, which is the constellation of Orion, and he's basically synonymous with the underworld and death. And then you have Horus, which is the constellation in this regard Ophiuchus, who rules the upper world after defeating Set and rises during the summer months. So Orion has a very blue star called Rigel. And Ophiuchus, underneath Ophiuchus, in Scorpio, there's a very bright red star called Antares. So we have this kind of play between red and blue, these opposite colors. Now we use this.
They represent the extremes of the frequency of light that we perceive.
Yes, and if we look at the zodiac, what is the opposite of zodiac, or the opposite of Taurus is Scorpio.
Scorpio.
So you have the opposer. So you have this kind of as Orion dies and goes into the underworld, you have Scorpio rising. And it comes back to these ancient myths of, here's a Greek myth. of Orion, and it has to do with Orion is this great hunter in the sky, and he's killing all the animals on Earth. Now, the goddess of Earth, which is Gaia, wants to stop Orion from killing all the animals. So she finds this deadly scorpion, asks the deadly scorpion, can you help me kill Orion by poisoning him to save the Earth? And the scorpion does, bites his foot, kills Orion, and then Gaia immortalizes the scorpion in the heavens as the constellation Scorpius. And Scorpius is placed directly opposite of Orion in the night sky, chasing Orion throughout the heavens forever. Now, Asclepius, now my pronunciation is awful, obviously.
No worries.
Is the Greek
That's a
god?
tradition on this show, actually.
Yeah.
Good. He's the Greek god of medicine, and he's the asterism of the constellation Ophiuchus as well, because he's the snake bearer. He goes against the god's wishes, and he heals Orion with the magical medicine he learned from the Serpent, which is Serpens, which is around his body. And it resurrects Orion back to life. And this scene is also immortalized in the stars as the constellation Ophiuchus stands directly on top of Scorpius in the night sky, protecting and saving Orion from the deadly sting of the scorpion. And his symbol is the caduceus of magic and medicine, the serpent coiled, rising up the staff. So again, this is like these symbols of these gods and these stories are playing out in the heavens on this cycle every single year. Now, you were just in Peru, and is it the Mochi culture or Moshe culture?
Yeah, I think Mochi is right. I'm not sure.
This is discovered on one of their walls, and it was this star map in Peru, and it shows the staff god right next to the scorpion in the sky. So again, it's like the staff god of Ophiuchus standing on top of the scorpion. So how do they have the same symbols from one part of the world to the other? Right. Doesn't make any sense. You know, in ancient Greeks, mythology of Orion, the great hunter, was granted the ability to walk on water by his father Poseidon, the god of the sea. And so you can see here from a mosaic of Orion in the house of Jupiter in Pompeii, you have Orion, and you can see under him is a scorpion. So it's the same image. It's Orion, and opposing him is the scorpion. And Orion walks on water, the constellation Eridanus, which is the river, the water. So if you look up in the sky at Orion, he's standing on the river. He's walking on the water. So what other gods do we know that walk on the water? Right?
Jesus.
Right. But you know how you're talking about how it's like this encodes a history and a knowledge that we should know about. Like there's a reason for these stories.
Yeah.
Well, think about this. The great hunter Orion, during the meteor showers, what does a meteor shower look like in the sky? It's the great hunter Orion shooting his arrows into Earth, killing all life on Earth. That's what the story is about, is Orion shoots his arrows and kills all life on Earth.
When did we encounter that comet? Does anybody know? The one that
the
turned
Atlas?
into the Orionids meteor shower.
Oh, no, I don't know.
No, I don't know.
That would be interesting to know, because this is something that we like Randall talks a lot about this with the
Taurids.
The Taurids meteor stream, and I think that they think that was Comet Enki.
Enki.
Yeah,
Which is a great name. The guy that discovered it, his name was actually Enki.
Yeah.
But that's possibly like came in near the time of the Younger Dryas, just prior, and then it fragmented and caused this destruction.
Yeah. And that's so we have this memory written in these stories of Orion. So when you look up and you see Orion in the sky, you have this kind of meteor shower, and one of those hit the Earth pretty bad.
Yeah.
And that's where the story. So this story of the Great Hunter of Orion, I think comes out of the Ice Age.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, that's cool.
because
It
that's
emerges.
so
Yeah,
how.
it's like some of these stories seem to come from so far in prehistory that you can't trace them. They just disappear. But they're
Exactly.
already there. That's the point. It's wild.
So that
Like-
I like this because this is another thing. Like there's the stories are there, they're projected. I kind of like to look at it like that the stars are actually the props of the play. Right? So when you're putting on a play, you're trying to tell a story, and that story can have meaning for people, it can have morals, it can have it can tell real information. It can be a documentary, you know, it can tell history. But you need props. You need things to tell the story with. So it was like one way to immortalize the stories forever is to put them, to project them into the sky and use the natural motions of the heavens to tell this story so that it contains real information about us, about our history, and about the history of the Earth, and using the natural props of our position in the universe. I think it's just awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing about this meteor shower is the peak of this one is between October 2nd and November 7th. And the peak is around October 21st. Now the sun enters Scorpio October 23rd to November 21st, signaling the end of the meteor shower. So it's exactly that same story. The scorpion comes and saves the world from the hunter. So when you see Scorpius in the sky, you know that this threat is now over.
So that does cover Halloween. I didn't realize that. Day of the Dead.
Yeah. It's close.
So you see this kind of imagery in all this art. So, for example, the Roman god Mithra slaying the bull. You know, Mithra is the solar deity. The sun passes through Taurus, slays the bull. Now, if you look underneath, you have the scorpion under the bull. Again, it's this opposite. You know, we have all of these stories. But if you want me just to like jump, let me see if I could just jump right to the end where I show the
This whole thing is really interesting too, because that image you were just showing, because he's Mithras' position with his knee up like that matches the constellation of the Seven Sisters, the Pleiades.
Yes.
Like he looks like the Pleiades as well.
And remember the whole thing with the Seven Sisters. There was a group of academics. It's in my book. I can't remember all these names, but basically they studied the stars and they turned back the clock to when you could actually count the 7 stars of the Pleiades, which was about maybe 60,000 to 100,000 years ago.
Wow.
Because
With
now,
the naked eye?
with the naked eye, yeah. So now when you look up at the Pleiades, you could only count 6 stars because one of them kind of moved behind the other. So it just looks like one star. Yes. But in the past, it was 7. So when you keep hearing all these stories of the 7 sisters as the Pleiades, I mean, that literally means that when there were 7 stars, it was in the Ice Age.
Wow.
That's cool.
Or somebody had a telescope and could resolve the 2 stars. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is a great. Where does this? This is a Roman carving.
Yes, this is a Roman carving. It's in a museum. I wish I
He's got
had.
the dog. He's got the serpent climbing up underneath the scorpion.
Yeah,
I remember Randall talking about this when he was saying. Randall was saying the scorpion was drinking the semen of the bull.
Yeah.
Remember that? I
Yes.
was like, what does that mean? And then he never told us.
He never told us. Yeah.
We were like, tell us what it means.
All right, so I'm just gonna jump here for a second so you can just see this.
Oh, good. Yes.
Here we go.
I've been wanting to talk about this. The tilt of
And-
the Earth.
I'll get into the tilted, but I'm really jumping ahead here. But we can jump anywhere we want, really. So basically, this is an image of the Waz scepters with the Ankh at I think it's the Temple of Abydos, and what I was showing is that it's this staff god motif, and it's the same in Tiwanaku, Bolivia, which you were there recently.
Yes,
or you see this recently, and the craziest thing about this is my whole hypothesis was that if there was a solar symbol or solar symbolism in these ancient cultures, they would display a geometry related to the seasons. And the geometry of the seasons is 23.5 degrees, which is the tilt of the Earth, which gives us the equinoxes and the solstices. So that's when they would measure the sun, you would get the angle 23.5 degrees off the horizon. So you have this kind of staff god standing there, and if you measure from the top to the bottom, even the heads of the Waz scepters, and it intersects the end of the Ankh, these are perfect angles of 23.5 degrees. And you go all the way to the other side of the world in Peru or Bolivia to the sun god here. And he's holding two staffs. And like you said, one is a serpent, one is like birds.
Condor or something.
Yes. Yeah. And you could see their eyes. And the whole secret code, I would say, is the hands and the eyes. So from the base, this whole image is created in this kind of 23.5 degree image going into the eyes. And even his belt, like he's wearing this weird V belt. If you just trace the belt, those angles are 23.5, and they go directly into the eyes of all these things on the artifact, and if you look at his head has 24 things coming out from his head, which is like the 24 hours of the day, because he's the sun. So it's showing you that these ancient civilizations knew how to measure the seasons and the sun precisely. They may not have had the numbers. We were assuming they knew the numbers 23.5. It doesn't matter what the number is. They knew the angle of the degree of, if you're looking at a 0 degree of the equinox or the equator, the sun will move across the horizon 23.5 degrees and then come back to 0 for the equinox and then go southwest for the winter solstice. So it's like they laid out their solar symbolism using these very sacred degrees. Now, this is also the secret of the pyramids.
And wait. I want to stop you here real quick on this 23.5, because that changes over time, right? I mean, the angle of the tilt of the Earth nods, right?
Yes.
At a 40 something thousand year cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it oscillates between about 24 degrees to about 22 degrees. So
we were talking about Poznansky's work at Tiwanaku, and he was using this possibility of the changing of the tilt of the Earth, talking about the layout of the main plaza, that the
Kalasasaya.
Yeah, the Kalasasaya is like it's slightly off from the solstice alignment. And I think he was postulating that if
you roll it back about 15,000 years, you get the right alignment.
Yeah.
And then later somebody came and did the same work and said, well, because we have better math and better astronomy now, he said about 10,000. He basically put it at the same at the end of the last ice age, around 10,000, 12,000 years ago.
So it makes me think that if this is accurate, that they put the 23.5 degree measurement in the gate of in this gate symbolism, but then this structure, the Kalasasaya, has an older, like a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
Then it makes me think that like the civilization went through a period where the angle changed actually more rapidly, or that they put both of the different numbers in there.
Or like many many of those structures, it's been built and rebuilt and used
Yeah, it
multiple
could have been
times.
used. Yeah.
And I
It's
mean,
just
like,
interesting.
when you're talking about within a degree, like that's very difficult to, to be measuring,
Yeah.
especially at that detail. Like, for example, the V's, like there's all these V's and Gobekli Tepe,
Yes.
these symbols of these V's or these flowers. And when you measure that, it's about 24 degrees. And if you go back to the tilt of the Earth, 12,000 years ago, like you said, it's closer to 24.
Yeah. Wow.
That's freaking cool.
So they were putting it in their imagery as well.
Dang it.
Right. So I think that there's like this language. It's like a solar or cosmic language of the angles in which they rise and set. Because you know how important the sun and the moon is. It's like you would plot it on the ground with like a stick, like just like the staff gods.
Yeah.
You stand in the middle, like you're the equinox. You stand directly east, facing east, just like the Sphinx. And then you follow the sun with like sticks in the ground. You follow the sun all the way to its furthest declination. You stick the staff into the ground. That's as far as it goes. And the sun sits there, solstice. It sits for 72 hours, 3 days. Doesn't move from that position. And then it comes back. And then it goes all the way back to the other end of the stick. So it's almost like this image of these staff gods, the Waz scepters, these staffs is kind of hitting the ground. This is the position that the sun can no longer pass.
So if you laid out that on the ground, would that difference in degree be 23.5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah. The distance it travels.
okay.
Yeah.
Across the horizon. That's
Yeah.
where
Extent.
that's where you get the 23.5 degrees.
Right.
Awesome.
It's
So this
measured.
is very, very doable.
Yeah, it's not like they had these tools. Like the tools are so simple. In my mind, the tools are your physical body, like your hand and your eye, because this is the way we measure the sun. Your eye to your hand to the horizon is 1 hour of time, and it divides the heavens by 15 degrees. So it's almost like we're a reflection. So we don't even need like these rods. We just use our hand and our arm to measure time.
But somebody has to figure that out, right?
Yeah,
You have
yes.
to sit that's why you need shamans. They basically are just sitting there all day looking at the sun like, ah.
Bro, I can do this 15 times.
And then they come down off the hill blind and they try to teach everybody.
So check this out. So this is like in the tomb of Tusert, which is in the Valley of the Kings. And it's a very strange image. It shows Horus and Set in one body, standing on a double-headed sphinx. And on either side, you have these people pulling a rope. These are like the rope pullers. So like, what does this symbology mean? Now, if you measure it, which is what I do, is I measure it. When you divide Horus and Set through his palms, like I said, the key is the hands and the eyes. So when you divide it by the hands, you get 23.5 degrees. From the edge of the rope on the ground here goes up directly into the eye of the person holding the rope at 23.5 degrees. And if it goes right through the hands and the crown space here is 15 degrees, which is the hours the sun travels. And this is 30 degrees. These poles are tilted at 30 degrees, which is how they measure. 30 degrees would be like 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, they're close to the 30th parallel there.
Yep.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? On the Earth.
But the reason why this is very interesting is, check this out. Like, let's say I believe that this symbol is showing the equinox. Okay, it's Horus and Set in one body, which means it's equal night and day. All right, so 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night is equal. It's the sun sharing the same body. When the sun travels to southwest, setting sun, it's winter solstice. When it goes northwest, it's summer solstice. And the cool thing is that, do you know how many hours difference there are in the summer and winter solstice? Is
No.
4 hours. So there's four attendants on each side. So you're losing 4 hours and you're gaining 4 hours of light.
From the equinox. I got
Yes.
you. I was just like, what do you? Yeah.
And
So
this,
is that why the Sphinx has the like Horus head on the left, but he could be because he's in the underworld, he's in the dark.
Is the other head set on the Sphinx?
well, no. The Sphinx is actually the children of Horus.
Oh, okay.
So you have Imseti, and this guy's name starts with a Q. The long name. But here's the
there
layout.
are also wait a second, because
Yeah.
there are 8 followers of Horus, or 8 sons of Horus, or something like that. As well?
Four sons. There's
There are only
the
4,
8.
okay.
There's the 8 Ogdeds, which are the primordial forces of Nun, which is like the primordial waters.
Okay.
But there's 4 sons, and the 4 sons of Horus represents the 4 pillars of creation. So you have the directions. Each one is a direction.
Okay. Because I was thinking about the carving on the ceiling of the temple of Hathor, where she, it's like this stair step up to the moon
Yes.
that has the eye of Horus in the moon or whatever,
Yeah.
and there's like all the guys on the boat. They're like carrying the boat. I guess it's 4 of them.
14. It's 14.
Well, there's 14 steps going
Yeah.
up to the moon, right? Which would be the
Yeah, it's a lunar
yeah.
symbolism.
sorry, you're it's making me think about all this other stuff. Let's
No,
keep
but
going.
I can go to that slide too.
All right, he's got that slide.
But okay, so here's the layout of the Great Pyramid, or the layout of Giza, the plateau, and you have Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, and the whole secret of the whole secret is the Sphinx. So when you're standing at the Sphinx and looking towards the Sphinx, during the equinox, the sun sets right behind Khafre, and the secret is that the sun stands on the back of the Sphinx during the equinox. So look, the sun stands on the back of the Sphinx during the equinox. And here you have Imseti, which is one of the children of Horus. And, is this really Khufu or is it Imseti?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Where is this carving?
This is
from here.
It's
Valley
in
of the
KV-14.
Kings.
This is the Valley of the
Yeah.
Valley of the Kings.
Have we been in that one? We'll have to find out if we can get in KV-14.
Yeah, we got to go to KV-14. Got to remember that.
So
Put it in the book.
So this is also the secret of the summer solstice. And I'm going to get into symbology of the Benben stone and the primeval mounds.
Oh, good.
But during the summer solstice, the sun sets, see right here, the summer solstice line, it sets directly in between Khufu and Khafre. So when the sun sets directly between these 2 pyramids from the Sphinx, that's the summer solstice.
Wow.
All right, so I'm going to get off the slides and just talk to you about this because this is the creation story of Egypt, and I think it's the most important story that everybody overlooks. So it's the birth of Ra. So like I was saying before with Nun and the primeval dark waters of Nun. So Ra becomes conscious, says his name. He rises out of the waters as the son of the light of the world. He comes up, and the first thing that happens is his light rays hit the Benben stone, which is this primordial mound. So the first light of creation is hitting this primordial mound, and they called it the Benben stone. Now, they said that the Benben stone is in the shape of a pyramid. So you have this kind of creation of the Benben stone. This pyramid is the symbol of the first light hitting, the sacred mound of creation. Now, so we have the pyramids, and we're saying, well, what are pyramids? This is the biggest question. What are pyramids? Well, symbolically, pyramids are the symbol of Ra's light. All right, it's the symbol of creation. It's the first thing that Ra's light illuminates. All right, so I want you to just think about this for a second. When the sun rises in the east, the earth is curved, right? The earth is curved. So first thing in the morning, when the sun rises, just when it peaks, the pyramid is still in a shadow, except for the capstone, the Benben stone. Mm-hmm. So the Benben stone illuminates the moment of the sunrise. All right, so it's this grand solar symbolism that acts out every single morning and every single night as the sun sets as well. The last light will be the capstone. It's the same thing with the obelisk. The obelisk has a pyramid at the top, and in the first thing in the morning, it's that top of the needle that will shine right when the day starts. So these are time-keeping solar devices or monuments to the sun.
That's cool.
So when you're looking at the pyramids and people are saying, oh, the mysteries of the pyramids, there's so many mysteries. Of course, yeah, there's a lot of mysteries, but it's actually a solar and lunar clock of the cycles. So if you stood at the Sphinx and you looked at the setting sun every single night, you can track the sun's position from the equinoxes to the winter and summer solstices. So it was just a giant clock that you can.
Yeah.
It's just one of the things, but nobody talks about this.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And this is part of why the alignments are so good, and the construction is so well done. Like you're going to build a clock, it needs to be precise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a clock of the celestial cycles, and nobody really speaks of this. But when you go back to this ancient mythology of this mound of creation, I'm going to pull.
I would like to say though,
yeah,
Robert Bauval did talk about this quite a bit, like the relationship of the whole layout there at Giza to the heavens, because you're also, the Orion connection, the Nile is the Milky Way, so it's like not necessarily a clock, but almost like a time stamp as well in precession, right? It's a time stamp in precession, and it's also giving you the daily and yearly cycles that are going on. So it's
I would as a map of the heaven, there's a lot of arguments about that theory and how Orion's belt really doesn't line up with the pyramids. But counter to that, Orion was so important in Egyptian symbology, and it was the symbol of Osiris, and the dead. And what do they say pyramids are? They're tombs for the dead, right?
Yeah.
Entrances to the underworld. Exactly. They're the hills. So a pyramid is also the hill of the underworld. It's the entrance into the underworld. So it would be symbolized as the belt of Orion. I mean, of course, in my mind, that makes complete sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, is it Khafre that was called the Mountain of the West?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, all right. So I want to tell you. Now I got time, right? I got good time.
Oh yeah, you got plenty of time.
Okay.
You got
so
5 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
all right. I got to get in this with you because this is so important to understand the mounds of creation.
Okay, good.
All right.
Want to crack open a fresh beer?
Yeah, give me that.
Would you like this?
Yes, sir.
Sam?
Thank you.
It's
And
a
here
tradition.
Here I am drinking hojicha. Jeez.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. All right, so like we were talking about this axial tilt, right? So the axial tilt of 23.5 degrees gives you the seasons, the equinoxes and the solstices. Mm-hmm. Now, going back to Peru, there's an amazing site. It goes back over 2,000 years, where you have this mountain. And on this mountain, they carved these notches or hills on the mountain or on the hill, so that it's one of the oldest solar calendars in Peru. So all they have to do is watch the setting and the rising sun, and you see the sun setting between these mounds. It will tell you the date.
Wow. That's great.
Okay. Now, this is called man. It's a petroglyph from Sweden. It's called man running from snake. But it's very
excited man running from snake.
Right. And what were we talking about earlier about fertility, how important it was, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is like a fertility icon, a fertility symbol. And this, I don't believe is a snake. I believe it's the same technology as this.
And there's the sun.
You see, because it has the sun, and it's showing you its setting over here, which I would say in Sweden is a much higher latitude, which would actually make more sense that this would be the springtime, right here where the sun is going.
Yeah, they could very well have been depicting a hill line,
mountains,
a line of mountains in the distance, and showing like, this was the time of year I drew this.
Yeah.
Yes. So when the sun comes up here, this is where you plant your seed.
This is the fertility moment.
Yeah.
So this is very ancient technology, but remember, it's like if I'm correct about this is from Sweden and this is from Peru, but it's the same technology, same understanding.
Yes.
Now,
I have to ask you on the petroglyph, since
you
you started in shamanism. What's up with this pose? Always with the arms and a lot of times the legs out.
Solar.
This shaman pose.
It's the solar heavens pose. So basically, you're bringing in the sun.
Going out into the sun?
Yeah, so whenever the arms are up, it's basically you're connecting to the heavens. So the sun, it's like the solar motif.
Okay. That's very simple. I thought, I mean, I was kind of digging in onto the idea of these plasma forms and stuff in the sky, and that's pretty interesting.
Yes, and
that's also solar.
It's definitely solar, but I was just curious. But that's a very simple explanation. So
and again, it's like the plasma thing is just a theory as well. It's like
absolutely
So we don't really know if that's the case in ancient cultures. But okay, so here we have the Aket symbol, which is the hieroglyph of Egypt, which is the two mounds of creation and the sun going between the mountains, just like the pyramids. And then here you have the fourth day, the Mayan Khan, when associated with fertility, serpent growing grains and harvest. And look at this symbol from Maya. It is the sun going between the two mounds.
Yep. And the water's below, maybe. That's interesting.
Yes. So we have the same symbology kind of saying the same thing. Now, this is a picture and an article from my friend John McHugh. And very interesting man. And he took this picture. He photographed during summer solstice this pictograph in Utah. Now, I called up John. I'm like, John, tell me something. Did you edit the shadows? Is those shadows correct? And he's like, no, that's the way they designed the shadows.
Wow.
So all I did was I upped the contrast.
Yeah.
And it's two perfect mounds and the sun between it to show the summer solstice.
So the petroglyph it actually has the angles that the light on the stone make at the solstice moment.
Correct.
That's incredible.
Correct. And so I'm like, John, do you realize what you have here? Like, there's more symbolism to this.
We need to look at the metadata of this photo.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't doubt it at all. I think it doesn't even surprise me, but it's super cool.
And then here's the seal of Adad, 2200 BC. And here you have Shamash, which is the sun. And where is he in between?
Oh, yeah. Between the two mounds.
Between the two mounds. Above him, you have Ishtar, goddess of fertility. She's holding this wheat or barley. He's holding her by her foot. He's holding this knife. He has the sun rays coming off his shoulders. Here you have the god Enki. He's stepping on the mound. He's stepping over a goat. He has fish coming out of his arms with water, and he's holding
Shoulder rivers.
Yeah.
his shoulder rivers. And he has this bird, you know. Now, I didn't even put that slide. Anyways, I'll just say it. So Enki is always symbolized sometimes as a goat or a half goat, half fish, which is the sign of the zodiac Capricorn. All right.
Okay.
And then if you look at a star chart, you have Capricorn, you have Aquarius and Pisces, and then right above that you have Aquila, the eagle. So this is like a star chart.
Okay.
Ishtar is like the virgin, and you know what symbol is the virgin? She holds the shaft of wheat.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have Shamash, the sun, which is the summer heat. This is why you have so this is like the June solstice. The heat of the sun is the most intense. What is he doing? He has the knife. He's cutting her down. He's harvesting the wheat. That's when you harvest. So these gods are depictions or archetypes of the earliest zodiacs, of the earliest star charts.
This is cool. Is it possible that they've overlaid more than one set of constellations here? Because another thing that Enki looks like, and possibly this bird, is oh god, I just forgot the guy's name.
Hercules.
Yeah, Hercules, and he's reaching for the crown.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
In the same pose, right? Hercules has got that 1 foot forward and the one arm
He's doing
up.
the lunge.
He's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
lunging.
That's
I've-
really interesting too, because
We've
that's a
talked about
northern
this
star.
before, because a lot of times you have Ophiuchus and sort of Hercules sort of kind of sometimes interchangeable depending on which story you're telling.
Yeah.
So
And
I
that's
think-
and it can be interchangeable. You know, it's not really fixed. It's the same thing where these stories, the gods will actually change depending on the seasons. So you could be completely correct. So, like, here's again Shamash or Enki with holding the waters, pouring the waters of life. And where is he standing? He's standing between the two
Between the
mounds,
mounds. Wow.
coming through.
What was that? What I've always wondered about the
also looks
headgear
like a
in that
tree.
other image. Yeah, he does look like a tree.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of the Osiris myth again. Like
Oh,
Osiris is
the pillar.
Yeah, Osiris is like in in the story where he's put in the sarcophagus, and then the sarcophagus floats down the Nile, and then it ends up being
In a tree.
inside a tree.
Yep.
Isis has to go over there and finagle
Cut
him
him.
out of this tree. Yeah.
Cut them out. Yeah. So it has to all do with this kind of symbolism of resurrection, of the resurrection of Osiris. And
Resurrection of the sun.
Yeah.
that's exactly what this is. So this is the Pyramidon of Ramos. And I want you to look at of Horus right here, the bird, and it's standing. And what do you see here?
Yep.
Two mounds.
Two
The
mounds.
two
yeah.
mounds. So it's the sun coming through the two mounds. But here on the opposite side, so this is on the complete opposite side of Horus, you have Osiris. Look where he is. He's inside the mound.
Oh.
He's inside the mountain. He's dead. And so he's waiting to be resurrected as Horus of the sun.
Okay, so he also, it's either his knee or his fertility sticking out of the mountain and growing the symbol of life.
Life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that too.
The Ankh.
Yeah, his knee. His knee.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. Okay.
It's definitely his knee. He's wrapped. You know, he's in the fetal wrap position
just
of dead
saying.
guy.
There's a whole lot about like Osiris and the phallus, right? Like
Yeah, there is.
Yes.
Isis is looking for the phallus and whatever. There's a
Yeah.
lot. So just throwing it out there.
And the phallus is thrown in the waters and eaten by the fish. It's Pisces.
Of course. Then you have Jesus come along later, who's the fisher of men, and he like pulls the coin from the fish's mouth and does all this fish stuff.
And so this has to do with the mounds of creation. So the two mounds are, the mound of the east, which is like the rising sun. So the birth of the sun comes out of the mound of the east. And when it sets in the mound of the west. So the mound of the west, you have the symbol of Hathor. So you see Hathor coming out of the west mountain. So this is a necropolis. This is the necropolis door. So she welcomes the dead. So this is why the setting sun is, the dead have to follow the setting sun and meet Hathor to go on this journey through heaven, basically, to see Osiris. So this motif is very interesting because it goes all the way through to even Etruscan theology of Vatica, which is the goddess of the underworld. And she was connected to this sacred hill on Rome. And that hill in Rome was known as the gate to the underworld. And the sacred site of the Vatican necropolis, they believe, is actually the current location of the Vatican. And that's why it's called the Vatican.
Whoa. Of course.
And so here's a better view of this. So you have the necropolis of the West. Like, remember right here you have the necropolis door. So here you have the deceased, the shadow. So this is the shadow of the deceased. You have the Ba, which is the astral body. And here is the door. And what do you see of the door?
The
is
two
the
mounds
two
above the
mounds
door.
and the sun. All right, so this is all solar. And if you go to Akkadian,
I recognize this, yeah.
Sumerian, Babylonian, you have the thing called Kudurus, I believe it's what it's called. And where is it? Yeah, Kudurus.
There's an eclipse happening.
These are the symbols of the three main gods, the Trinity, which the one with the crescent moon is the god Nana. You have this is the star of Ishtar, and this is the star of Shamash. All right, so you have Ishtar, which is like basically Venus, and you have the sun. So sun, moon, Venus. And the Kudurus are shaped as hills or mounds. Okay, they're boundary stones. And then you have all these gates, just like the Egyptian gates. See the gates?
Yeah, the false doors or whatever they call them. Yeah.
Correct. But see, there's symbols on these doors. And here's a symbol right here of the goat with the fish body, which is Capricorn, which is the symbol of Enki. You know, so it's showing you, and this is the symbol of Ninhursag. So these are gates of the gods.
Looks like a reed boat or something.
Yeah.
The symbol
Yeah.
of Hertag, yeah.
Which is, it has to do with the waters and fertility. Basically, these are doorways of the constellations and the stars. So these are like the original star gates, if you want to call them that.
This is the other thing that's two things. Those stargates, those false doors, look so much like the carvings in the stones at Pumapunku, right? The same exact design of the stepping in of the door of this little, what did you call them? They're similar to the Japanese, like
the Shinto gates.
Torii
Shinto
gates. Torii
Yeah.
gates.
Torii gates.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is in the mythology, like you read, they always talk about these gates. Like in the Book of Enoch, for example, it's like, oh, they took me to this gate and that gate and this gate. And then, you know, when you go down the sort of ancient aliens path, he's going into space, he's going and he's seeing all these different gates, which could be planets or could be constellations or whatever. And I've always thought that was interesting how they seem to be talking about constellations as gates. And we were talking to our friend Yusuf, from Egypt. He's amazing, but he's very deep into the symbolism of Egypt, and he talks about the Lion's Gate, right? So you got the two sphinxes facing each other, and this is like this idea of the Lion's Gate. Everybody's looking for where's the other sphinx. In all these depictions, there's two of them facing each other, and his whole thing was like it's Leo in the sky. So you got the sphinx on the earth, and then the lion in the sky, and that is the Lion's
Yeah, when they
Gate.
face each other, that's the gate. Yeah.
I completely agree with that. And
That's super cool.
When you're looking at, let's say you go back to the Gilgamesh myth, when Gilgamesh wants to see his ancestor, the one who survived the flood and became immortal, he goes to the sacred mountain, and the sacred mountain, to the gate of that mountain, is guarded by scorpion beings. You know?
Forgot about that.
You know, and if you go into Egypt, and everybody's saying, okay, this is the gate, but that's not the correct translation at all. All right, when you see the hieroglyph, you have the Seba, which is the star. All right, you have the Seba, you would have the foot, and then you would have this door next to it. So they go, okay, this is the Star Gate, right? So you have this door, but the door is what I showed you. It's the Necropolis door. It's the gate of the West into the Underworld.
Gate in the Underworld.
Now, if you go back to like the Pyramid text, which is the oldest text that we have available to us to understand the symbolism here of their, religious journey in the afterlife, the way to heaven was through death. Right?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yes.
And so when you would die, you would go into the Necropolis, which is these like false doors, like you said, and the whole journey is the journey of the stars. So they leave their body and they travel into the stars. And each star, if you go into the pyramid text, each star is like a god or a goddess.
Yeah.
And you have to pass through each stage or each gate. That's why they call it the Book of Gates or the Book of Hours. It's the traveling through the night of the different stars and constellations.
Man. And the goal for traveling through all this stuff is to eventually reach the heaven, the house of millions of years, or whatever.
Well, here's the conspiracy. There's two types of religions here.
Okay.
You have, let's say, like the pyramid text, which is for Unas, who's the pharaoh, right? So the pharaoh gets a different journey than the peasant who has his heart weighed by Osiris, right? So if you go to, let's say, Osiris, Osiris is Orion, right? So you travel to Orion. Anubis is the dog star, right? He's Sirius. He's weighing the heart. And so you have to, if you look at the picture, there's a door behind, the Necropolis door is behind Osiris. And if you look up into the sky, Orion's arrow is pointing to the square of Pegasus. Okay? Now, that's what they called the field of reeds in ancient times, was the square of Pegasus. So the original Eden, the original heaven, was the square of Pegasus, and you'd have to pass through Orion. Orion points to the square of Pegasus. And in Sumerian, it's called Iku. So Iku was the field of reeds. It's where, the workers, the men would toil in the fields. That was, the workers were, the constellation of the worker in Samaria is actually Aries, which is right next to Pegasus. And Triangulum was the shovel to work in the field. So this whole story is in the stars and how to journey through the stars. But going back to the pharaoh, now the pharaoh is really interesting because he doesn't go to the field of reeds in this. He wants to go to the northern heavens, to sit on the throne with the highest gods. So these are the, let me throw this up for you, okay?
Okay, but this is making me think about going back to this idea of, while you're pulling that up, this technology of telling a story that people can relate to. So, of course, you have to have a different story for a king than the guy who's been working his entire life in the field. He's not going to be like, what, I'm going to go sit on a throne with the other greatest gods of all time? I've been farming my whole life.
Right.
So it's like, it makes sense that for someone raised in a palace who has been trained to be a king and then spends most of their life being a king, you have to tell them a story that they can relate to. They can't relate to farming.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and the pharaohs were already supposed to be enlightened, right? That's the depiction with the Uraeus and everything. They're supposed to already have.
They've been through the schools. They've learned all this stuff. So it's like, it just makes sense that if you're going to create this technology of storytelling that encapsulates all of this ancient wisdom and then some type of guidance for them.
Yeah.
That you have to create different stories for like the different types of people. You can't all have one. It's like not everybody's going to relate to this one particular story.
Here,
I'm throwing that out there.
No, I can.
On that one.
I mean, we're talking about the same thing right here. All right, so here's from the pyramid texts. You are to purify yourself with the cool water of the stars, and you will climb down the ropes of brass on the arms of Horus in the name of he of the Henu barge. So think about this. Okay, so you have to purify yourself with the stars. You have to climb upon the ropes of brass. What are the ropes of brass? Which are the arms of Horus. It's the setting sun in the west. The sun rays going down is these ropes of brass that you're supposed to follow and take to get on the barge to take you into heaven, right?
They had brass.
After, yeah. After the imperishable stars have carried you, enter then into the place your father is, where Geb is. He gives you that which is on the brow of Horus, which is the serpent, so that you become powerful and full of glory through it, so that you become one at the head of the Westerners through it. But here it says, after the imperishable stars have carried you. And this is where your father is, where Geb is, okay?
The imperishable stars are the ones that never set.
Yeah.
Correct, which is the northern polar region of space. So
Yeah.
this is the height of the gods. So you want to go here. And when you become a god, when you make it, what do you get on your forehead?
You get the Uraeus.
Right.
Yeah.
So during this time period,
Oh my God.
Thuban was in Draco, the serpent.
Ah.
Wow.
You know? So you have all this Draco symbology of the northern sky on the forehead, the third eye. I just put this here for fun, but you can see kind of the serpent.
Nice.
You know, the crown of the head is the temple symbolic of the northern sky. That's why they say God is above you. You know, this is why they wear kippas on the top of their head, is to say God is always above you, which is the northern sky, the northern stars.
So this doesn't work in the southern hemisphere.
No,
Yeah,
these
that's
are
true.
all these are our northern hemisphere things.
The freaking Aussies, dude, they've always been doomed. Hey, so why is it, do you think, that the serpent has been associated with knowledge, with wisdom in all these different cultures, in all these different places? Like, it just doesn't seem like something that you would, I mean, you're looking at this snake. I mean, I guess you could look at it and be like, yeah, he's too smart to become a pet. That's for sure. But seriously,
Amaru.
like, yeah, Amaru.
Yeah.
Well,
The
I'll-
word-
In I guess it was Quechuan.
Is it
or-
Quechua? Their word for serpent also means knowledge.
It's the
Yes.
same. Yeah,
Yeah.
Amaru.
well, are you familiar with the story, The Descent of Inanna?
Not
No,
really.
I don't think so.
Okay, so The Descent of Inanna is like, it's older than the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's probably one of the oldest stories there is. It's
Oh.
about 6,000 years old, at least, that we know of. It's one of the earliest writings they've ever found.
It
And
was written right after the world was created.
exactly, the first knowledge. But what's interesting about this story is it's this descent into the underworld. So Inanna goes into the underworld. She gets trapped by her sister, and basically Enki saves her, brings her out. But when she comes out of the underworld, it's the same story as like Persephone. But when she comes out of the underworld, she comes with demons. You know, because you can't leave the underworld. You have to find someone in their place. So she comes out of the underworld with these demons, and the demons want to take all her friends and family. And she's like, no, they prayed for me. They mourned me when I was in the underworld. Don't take them. And she comes to her husband, Tammuz, or Dumuzi. And here you have this king, this god. He's depicted sitting on a throne like a king underneath an apple tree. All right. So he's sitting under an apple tree. And she looks at him and she goes, oh my God, like, he's not mourning me at all. He's pretty happy sitting on his throne. Take my husband to the underworld. So the demons go to take him to the underworld. And what is the first thing he does is he calls out on the sun god Shemesh, and he says, or Utu, he calls out to Utu, because this is before Shemesh, which is basically the sun god in ancient Sumeria. And he says, please transform me into a snake so that I could avoid being taken by the serpents, or being taken by the demons.
Demons.
And basically, so now you have a story which predates pretty much every other story of an apple tree, like the tree of life that he guards, he sits under, and the god turns into the serpent, you know,
Wow.
to be protected from the demons to take him to the underworld. And it does work for a time, but then they get him down to the underworld. But the whole serpent symbolism here is fertility and knowledge and long life. So the symbol of the serpent in this case is fertility again, to keep the apples from rotting or falling on the ground. It wants to prolong the springtime. But the demons come take him to the underworld, and it's this kind of like same with the story of Persephone, which she gets taken by Hades into the underworld and then taken up. So you get the spring and the summer, and then you get her back into the underworld for the winter. And the same thing happens with Tammuz, with the tree, is that his sister couldn't bear her brother being in the underworld. So she makes a bargain with the gods so that half of the year she gets taken to the underworld, half of the year he gets back up here. And it's the same thing with, I would say, Isis and Osiris. It's the same story. She dies, or Osiris is killed, and she resurrects him. It's this kind of cycle of the fall and the resurrection.
And Persephone also eats not an apple, but a pomegranate or something, right? Which is what locks her into being the underworld. Yeah, there's a fruit as well.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me that the Uraeus being connected to this third eye, the idea that it's somehow the serpent coming out of your head, and then this whole thing with the serpent and the tree of knowledge.
Yeah.
The Kundalini is also visualized as a
Caduceus,
serpent.
as you talked about in the very beginning, the Caduceus is this, this guy who has all this medical knowledge. This becomes this symbol. It's just, why a serpent?
I have an idea that I've been thinking about. I'm sure he's got a better answer, but I've also been thinking about the spine, just a human spine. It's like a snake, and at the top of it is your brain.
Yeah.
I mean, they must have noticed that you went, like,
It's like
holy
the
crap,
core.
we all have a brain, we all have a snake inside of us, and at the top of the snake is the brain.
That's a pretty good.
There's, I have to
Don't
find
break your
this.
snake, folks. It's,
I have to find this quote for you. I hope I find this quote for you. But basically, it's a speech that the Pope gave many years ago. I have it in one of my books here. Okay, I could just tell you off the top of my head. But basically, at the end, he was talking about the mystery of the serpent. And he was saying that there's two serpents because Jesus is sometimes compared to as the serpent. And they say, so what is so you're basically saying there is this mystery in Christianity about the serpent that tempts and the serpent that kills, but then there's this other serpent, that is the serpent that heals and the serpent that resurrects. Yeah. And this is the mystery of Christianity, is these two serpents. And when you go back into time, like if you look at the brazen serpent, the snake bites in the desert, and he says, put make a brazen serpent, put it up on a stick, look up in the sky at this brazen serpent, and you will be healed. So I believe, and it's also, there's two types of serpents. I know you're the serpent bros, so that you're gonna love this. There's two types of serpents. You have the desert serpents, and you have the water serpents. So the ones that are in the water that come out, this is like the serpents that give life. So it's connected to the water and fertility. Where you have the serpents of the desert, which is like the land of Set. So these are like the vipers that will kill you. So you have these serpents that bring life, which is connected to the water serpents. And you have the serpents of the desert that bring death. So you have this shamanic correspondent between these two serpents and two times of year. So, during the summer months, which is like the time of Set, which is the harsh conditions, you are afraid of those desert snakes. Whereas when you see the snakes when the Nile rises, you're like, fantastic, life is coming back.
yeah.
You celebrate one and you hate the other.
I do love the simplicity of these ideas. It's like it makes a lot of sense.
Also,
I
remember
appreciate that.
Remember when Gilgamesh finally finds, after he speaks to Utnapishtim, and he swims down to the bottom of the water and he finds the plant of immortality.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's stolen by a water
The
serpent.
snake takes it.
And I when I'm reading this, I can just see his face when he comes
Yeah.
out of the water and he just looks down, and it's just a snake skin. The snake transformed because everlasting light, and he realized, okay, I'm mortal. I'm just gonna live as a king happily and die. Like
He writes it all down in stone, so no one will ever forget. Yeah.
yeah, so you have this incredible symbolism of the serpent throughout all these ancient texts, and and you want to say, why is this snake at the top or the crown of the head? There are many snakes in astrology. Okay, you have Hydra, which is the snake that's below your feet, basically. So Hydra is underneath the equator, the ecliptic. And above it, then you have the snake that heals, which is Serpens, which is connected to Ophiuchus. And then above Ophiuchus, you have Draco, the serpent or the dragon, and that is the highest snake, the snake of ascendance. So you have these three levels of serpents on top of each other, going up from below you, the underworld, Hydra, to the one that resurrects you, which is Serpens, heals you, magic, the Ka, and then you have the Urius serpent, which is Draco above your head in the northern crown.
That is cool. It's awesome.
My interpretations. It's just
No,
what I
I
think.
love it. Yeah, that's great.
We had no interpretations. That's good.
We'll start with yours, and we'll go from there. That's
And
great.
Let me see if there's.
So yeah, I derailed you with the serpent thing, but
That's not a derail. That's
well, he
a
was
legit question.
gonna pull up another
Yeah, you're
slide,
right, he
and
was gonna
it's
pull
like,
something
while
up.
you're doing that, let me make you forget what you were doing.
Yeah, I completely forgot anyway. That's what I said is like I've been doing this for so long that I have so many slides that,
Well, let's go. Okay, then I have a special request.
yes.
Let's look at the Temple of Hathor. You said
Oh,
you had
yes.
some on that.
there we
I
go.
do. And it's so funny because I'm already there.
All right.
So you're reading my mind. And this is the scene that you were talking about.
This is.
So you have the boat with Ra. You have all these attendants. You have Horus on one side. You have Anubis on the other in very strange poses. You have the beetle with the wings above here with very incredible symbolism. And let me see if I could zoom. Oh, and this is what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
the 14 steps,
up to the full moon.
the full moon.
The mirror.
I'm just gonna zoom in here.
Look at the angles of the wasp. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
what I'm saying. So it's like
Damn.
people are like, "Do I just come up with this?" I'm like, "No, I learned it from them." Right. So you can see the was separate. They're positioned in a very specific way.
Yeah.
So if I just measure it, because that's the rule, just measure it. Very simply, you can see the red line here is 23.5 degrees.
Right up the
Here to the eyes, 23.5 degrees. But it's interesting because this side is the sun, like solar, and this side it comes at 28.5 degrees, which is the lunar solstice, the lunar maximum solstice, is 28.5 degrees. So and 28.5 degrees goes right into the Waz's eyes, and from the middle of the beetle, it goes directly into the serpent's eyes at 23.5 degrees. So they are encoding this, in my mind, 100%. This whole thing is encoded. So here you have the wolf, which is connected to the underworld. So connected to the moon, because the moon is in the night sky as the underworld. And if you measure...
Yep.
If you measure the angles of, let's say, the arms and the legs, you get 18.5 degrees, which is the lunar standstill minimum.
Close to 18.6.
Yeah.
Years too, actually. The
Yeah,
years.
lunar. And then you have 28.5 as the lunar maximum. Now, if you go to the other side, which is Horus, which is the sun, he's set up with 23.5 degrees. and 15 degrees, which is the movement of the sun. So people are like, okay, well, it's just a coincidence, right? I'm telling you, the entire Dendera temple is designed this way. It's literally designed this way.
There's the one we always go to where the Jed pillar, the
I thought
giant.
that was isn't that in Seti, or is that in Dendera?
Oh, is that in SETI?
There's this massive Jed pillar that's tilted.
Oh,
And it's basically tilted at 23.5 degrees or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's
well,
close.
Very
well,
close.
check it out. So here's here's the Jed pillar underneath the light bulb, which is not a light bulb. And the Jed pillar is set at 23.5 degrees.
It's an enlightenment bulb.
Yes. Yes. And again, it's the two serpents. Look, it's the water serpent and the serpent of the desert. Two different serpents.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's anyways,
Snake
I'll go
of death and the snake of life. Okay.
correct.
All right.
It's the sun going up and the sun going down. So if we're looking at this image and we overlay it with this knowledge, the entire thing is set out to the angles of the sun and the moon. Goes directly like from the eye to the staff. You see the staff and the eye? 23.5 degrees. Going from the base of the stars, look at coming through the Waz's eyes here at the top.
Yeah.
Perfectly right through the center, 23.5 degrees directly through the Waz, just like we saw in Abydos.
Right.
So
When the was is standing straight up, the head of the was is basically tilted at 23.5 degrees.
correct. So we can go even further here. So you have, Caffrey the beetle with the sun on the sunboat, and you have the serpent underneath, right? Well, if you just count the serpent's humps here, you get basically 19 or 18.6 lunar standstill. Okay, nice. So, and then here, the eye of Horus, which is the left eye of Horus, known as the lunar eye, and the right eye is the solar eye of Ra. Okay, so you have the right and the left. Yeah. Okay. And so I'm just going to zoom in here and show you. Look at the tail, this tail angle here, 23.5 degrees. And then on the moon side, it's very interesting. It's at 28, but see this little notch here?
Yeah.
It's at 18.5. Like, I can't make this up. It's crazy. And this is Marduk. And he has these poles on him. And look at the top of the poles are these like stars or suns, right? Like, it's absolutely perfect and precise at 23.5 degrees. They knew exactly what they were doing. Exactly what they were doing.
It's crazy. He's standing on a scorpion dog thing.
Yeah. Correct. And here, check this out.
So he's Ophiuchus. Yeah? I mean, he's Ophiuchus in that image, isn't he?
Let me see.
Sorry, no worries. We'll move on. He was standing on a scorpion.
standing on a
that was
scorpion.
the only
Exactly. Very, very similar. And it's almost the same time period as well. He's earlier. He's earlier than this. But here we have, you have the Queen of Night, which is like Ishtar, or the Queen of the Underworld. She's standing on two lions with owl feet. She's holding these tools, which in the Descent of Inanna, it actually tells you what these tools are. Do you know what these tools are?
Nope.
No.
Okay, in the Descent of Inanna, it says lapis, measuring rod, and line. Okay, so these were tools to measure the heavens.
Okay, so some kind of...
They're like astrological measuring tools.
I had heard that they were measuring tools, yeah.
Okay, so you see her position?
I noticed that her arms are conspicuously at 23.5 degrees.
Oops. Yes. So if you look at her body here, her whole body is set up at this 23.5 degree mark. And even from her belly button, it goes into the eyes of the lions perfectly and the wings.
Crazy.
Wow.
And so if you actually follow, you see this measuring tool here on the left side. It's turned up. So if you just follow the turn, you can see this line in the hand here. Just trace it. It goes directly into the eye at 23.5 degrees. And this one is at 15 degrees.
Wow.
So they've used this system everywhere. And if you go from the crown, the tip of the crown, to the owl eyes, and what's the owl? It's the night, it's the moon. Okay? So from the tip is the solar, it goes right into the eyes at 28.5 degrees, which is the major lunar declination cycle of 18.6 years. And from the lion's eye to the owl's eye, you get 18.5 degrees, which is the minor lunar. So it's like whoever is designing this are absolute geniuses. Absolute
and what is
geniuses.
what is the purpose, do you think, of encoding all this geometry
It's
into
also
I mean, are they teaching someone, or are you expected to like recognize it because you know it, or is it? I mean, you know,
I think it's like a language that's taught in, let's say, like secret societies.
okay.
So
Yeah,
you
you
have
would-
like the knowledge. You have the knowledge of the priests and the pharaohs and the kings and queens, and then you have the knowledge of the people. So the two completely different things. So I
You
believe
have the esoteric and the exoteric.
And also
Yes.
there are certain types of indicators where somebody from that order can instantly recognize a piece of art that was made by somebody else of that knowledge
Yeah,
or
okay.
of that order.
that's right.
Because there's like Randall talks about this too. There's just like certain elements where like he would see it and he'd be like, boom, that's one of them. I know
Yeah.
that's an alchemical
Yep,
setup just because he'll recognize one little thing in it.
it's the secret handshake.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, I'm the only person in the world that I know of that has figured this out.
Oh wow.
There's nobody else. I've been trying to get this out to people, but it's like, it's a little difficult because no one really cares about this stuff.
Dude, we're so getting yelled at by all the keepers in Egypt next time because I'm gonna have the protractor. I'm like, hold on,
Oh
sorry,
yeah.
let me just
Hold on, I'll
see
go
if
check
I
this
can-"
angle. Yeah.
They're like, don't touch.
Like, I want to show you like how freaking precise this stuff is. Like, here you have Shemesh holding the rod. And this is a cubit, by the way. This rod is measuring rod. If you take the length of this, it goes directly from the tip of his finger to his elbow. It's exactly the same size.
Ah, okay.
So this is a cubit rod. Now, if you go, let's say this is 0 degrees, this line, and you go directly straight through it, it goes to the star of Ishtar. Now, Ishtar is Venus, right? So 21.6 degrees. What is that? Well, 21.6 degrees creates the pentagram spiral of it creates this
Venusian orbit.
image
Yeah.
of Venus's orbit. So 21.6 degrees is literally the 8-year cycle between Venus and Earth.
That's
Like-
cool. That's also a processional number.
Yeah, 2160.
2160 or 216,
Yeah.
double 108.
Yeah, 2,160 years.
The age of one age.
Yeah.
One age. Yep.
One month of the processional year. Yeah.
So all of these numbers are, they're absolutely perfect. And if you go from see the ropes, they're holding the ropes, 23.5 degrees. From his eyes to the sun disk is 23.5 degrees. It's like everything is done with precision, and
I've
no
always
one.
wondered about this picture too. Like, what the hell are they doing?
I've
been looking at this image for a long time. Like, what is going on here?
Well, this is really cool because everybody's saying it's like, oh, this is Shemesh. Shemesh is this giant demigod, and these are humans, so this is the size of him, right? But this is what I did because I just love measuring things. So what I did was I took the heights of these three guys and looked from the base of the foot. So I did it from the base of the foot. So if you follow this line from here to here, it's this guy. This guy is the red line going up from here to here. And then this guy, the blue line, is going up from here to here. It's exactly
He's
the
exactly
height.
there.
Of all three of those guys.
Yes. So what?
It's-
So
I see. You're saying it's the cycles.
what I'm saying is that Shamash represents. These are like the 3 different cycles, basically.
Yeah.
So it's or 3 different manifestations of Shamash.
Wow.
In my interpretation. but you know, it's
Who are the twins at the top spinning the sun thing?
well, this is really cool. I have no idea, but basically, they are holding the disk of the sun on a rope, and at 23.5 degrees. And guess what? Guess what? Let me see if I got this. The rope pullers.
Yeah.
See, they're pulling the sun from the equinox to the winter or the summer.
Yes.
It's the
They're-
same.
They're powering the cycle. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something
And they're
similar.
like the twins. They're like Romulus and Remus, or
Yeah, Gemini.
or Gilgamesh and Enkidu. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of them could be, let's say, summer, and one of them can be winter, basically.
light,
So-
light and dark. Yeah.
I think
I
there's
don't-
similar imagery at Angkor Wat, right? There's 72 guys pulling on a giant serpent going
Yeah.
up and down the pathway. Like they're causing but 72 is like a processional number, so this is like the large cosmic cycle, right?
Yeah, and
They're
it's this-
rotating the cosmic serpent.
Yeah, turning the Milky Way.
Yeah.
The two, they're pulling the serpents, and it's going around this mound. You know,
Yeah.
you're getting all these. It's like the same symbolism, the same language.
Yeah.
So my whole deal, and you know, I've given you like an insight into the way I'm thinking here. But my whole deal is this: is that everybody is like going through like archaeology and saying like, you know, this is what we believe, or you know, showing the physical. But if you're going at it from this kind of spiritual, mythological perspective, then you have this greater idea of, oh, in their religion, they believe that, you know, the first light of Ra hit a stone that was the shape of a pyramid. So it's this kind of like this solar mythos. And this kind of idea travels through culture to culture. So you get an understanding of where their mind was, why they would build these temples, why they would align them to different stars. You know, why would they have different gods or different trinities in different sites in Egypt? You know, because they represented different times of the year or different parts of the body of Osiris. Like, you know, and each one has this kind of celestial story that's attached to it. And once we understand the celestial story, then it's like, then we understand the reason behind why they did it, why they spread these stories and how they told them. Now, I know time is crunching here, so I want to just bring it to a close to show you that this knowledge that I'm talking about is still here. And I've traced it to Leonardo da Vinci. Okay. Okay, so you're familiar with The Last Supper, one of the most famous pictures. And so check this out. I said, okay, if anybody in the world is going to know what I know, it's Leonardo da Vinci. He definitely knows, because he's always known. It's like the Da Vinci Code. He hides things in his artwork, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at Jesus, for example. If you draw the line through Jesus from his arms here in the table, you get the 51.8 pyramid. And what's at the tip is his eye. Okay.
Wow.
So again, it's
You got
the eye of Horus. It's the sun illuminating the capstone during the sunrise. Okay. So there's 12 disciples, and they say these are not disciples. These are actually the constellations of the zodiac. So you have the sun, which is Jesus, and then you have the 12 constellations, starting with Aries and ending with Pisces. And I say, okay, well, how can I prove this? Right? How can I prove this? Well, let me use geometry. So check this out. So if you go to the end of the table and you see how this person here, who represents Cancer, he's bent right over.
Yeah.
So if you take from the end of the table up the slope of his back is 23.5 degrees, which is literally the Tropic of Cancer. From the center of the table, you can see the arm of Capricorn here.
Yeah.
From here, it goes up his arm at 23.5 degrees. This is the Tropic of Capricorn. Now, here at the edge of the table here, going directly, you see it goes directly through his hands here. See his hands pointing? So it goes directly under the hand at 15 degrees, right into his eye at 15 degrees. The eye of the sun moves 15 degrees in the heavens. Okay, so Leonardo da Vinci is literally creating a map of the seasons and the cycles of the sun in this. It's incredible. Like, it's...
Yeah, and he's saying this biblical story is a
solar mythos.
an astronomical solar mythos. Yeah.
And, so you have the famous door and two windows. I am the door. By me, if any man enter, he shall be saved. And go on and go in and out and find pasture. Again, this whole, the field, the shepherd, the good shepherd. So again, it's like, these are gates of the sun. Like, this is from Tolo, Mexico. You look at the door and the two windows. So that the equinox goes through the door and the solstices goes through the windows. It's incredible precision. Same with Petra. The sun goes through the door of Petra and will illuminate the corners for the solstices and the center for the equinox. Now, what's really interesting about Petra, which no one really talks about, is on the opposite side of this site, during the solstice, the winter solstice, where does it say here? Oh, yeah. The silhouette of the mountain opposite draws a lion's head. So a shadow of a lion's head appears on the other side of the mountain, of a lion, right? Okay, this is crazy. In Arizona, the same thing happens.
Holy crap.
So this is called Superstition Mountain in Arizona. And during the equinox, the sun creates a shadow of a mountain lion.
Yeah, I see it.
Like,
Wow.
is it a coincidence? Like, everything that I'm seeing, it's like, my brain doesn't work anymore after this conversation, but it's like,
I love it.
coincidence takes planning, right? It's like,
Yes.
Tell me, in the Da Vinci painting,
yes.
what season is it at the Last Supper?
Um,
Because the sun is between. It's on the equinox, is it not? It's like between the
Spring.
It's like between the two tropic.
Well, think about what is the Last Supper?
Well, I know I know symbolically the Last Supper is right before he dies.
Yes, but
So
it's a
basically
Passover
before
dinner.
The winter.
It's the Passover dinner. The Last Supper in Judaism is the Passover dinner, and the Passover dinner falls on the spring equinox.
Really?
Yeah.
That's strange.
Well, I think it's the full or new moon of the equinox, that time period in spring.
But in the story itself, the Last Supper was like right before he was crucified.
I know.
So
I
that
know.
would be right before
Winter
the sun
solstice.
went into the winter solstice period and died for 3 days and then came back.
I know.
But then Da Vinci's painting puts Jesus in the middle. That would be the equinox period. So
Yes.
I don't know. It's,
Yes, Passover is, this year, 2026, it's April 1st,
So it's a little bit after the
just a little bit after, and it's based on the moon.
April Fool's Day.
Yes, this year, but it changes. It has to do with the moon around the equinox. Yes.
Yeah. So I have this. Yeah, that's cool. I have this thing about that. There's sort of both going on with the Osiris myth and Christianity. There's a lunar and a solar component all the time, and it's kind of you can sort of switch them out a little bit.
And the Feast of Passover originates in Exodus, doesn't it? I mean,
Yes.
yeah, okay. It's yeah.
Yeah. It's
That's long before Jesus.
Yeah, it's when they painted the doorways so that the
Yeah.
angel of death would pass over them when
Yeah.
it was coming in to kill all the firstborn of Egypt. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the thing is there's all this prophecy and there's all this repeating mythologies. Oh my God, you just open like a can of worms here. But basically, it's like when Jesus was born, King Herod learned about the baby and he's going to kill him, so he has to go. And it's the same,
Please beware.
right? And with
Where did he go?
Passover, And Passover is the same thing. It's the death of the firstborn.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And it's in the Bible. It actually fulfills a prophecy when they put the hyssop on Jesus, because remember they put the hyssop on the doorways to the lamb's blood on the hyssop on the doors, so that it passes over the house, so that when I think it was like Jesus takes like the hyssop to his lips, and it was like, this is like the prophecy fulfilled, basically. It was like, it's strange. Like there are deep rabbit holes here that I need to write more about.
That's great. That point in the story too with Herod, when Herod finds out, Joseph takes Jesus and goes to Egypt.
Yeah, they flee to Egypt. Yeah.
And I love the line in the story. I don't know it verbatim, but basically when he finally comes out of Egypt and goes to Nazareth, I guess it is, before he meets John the Baptist, there's like this whole thing where God says that now the prophecy has been completed because he brought his son out of Egypt.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm going with like Osiris. The Osiris mythology is like the Christian mythology is basically the Osiris mythology. It was brought from Egypt and given to a new people.
Well, let me add to this, okay? And
if we're talking about the story,
Yeah.
like you've been pointing out that it's telling the story of the stars, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
yeah, well, let me go to the Roman Empire and the myth of the Roman Empire with his Romulus and Remus, right? Now, the twins were basically born of a virgin. So you have a virgin priestess of Vesta, which is Rhea. And so she goes to the temple of Mars and to get some water. And she basically gets raped by Mars. And so she has these demigod children. And remember, this story is pre 750 BC. Okay, so this is an older story. So we don't really know when this story came out, but it follows the same story, because when the king found out that Rhea was going to give birth to these demigod twins, he knew immediately that they're going to overthrow him. So he sends them out to kill the children. So what does she do? She puts the children in a basket and sends them down the river.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. And then the wolf, basically the wolf finds them, takes them, and it takes them to the mountain, the hill, Palatine Hill. Okay, so we get to the mounds of creation again. It's these same stories over and over again. But what's really interesting about this story, let me see if I could find it here.
So I'm just thinking again, this is like the twins are the sun and the moon. The basket is like, the boat that carries them through the heavens. The river is
it's like the solar bar.
The
It's like,
ecliptic.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's the same motifs over and over again.
Yeah, so you could say like a starting point is when, like you were saying, Set and Horus, they're together. It's like it's actually an eclipse, and then slowly they separate, and they become separated for so long, and then they eventually converge again.
And Set and Osiris are brothers.
Yes.
Okay, and Set kills Osiris. Now, Romulus and Remus. Romulus kills Remus. He kills his brother. Mm-hmm. If you go to the Epic of Gilgamesh, you have Gilgamesh and Enkidu. Mm-hmm. And, they're twins. They're both demigods. They're both equals. And Gilgamesh basically represents, you have these two twins, which is Gemini, he gets the winter sky. But Gilgamesh is Orion, just like Osiris. And Enkidu, hope I'm getting his name right, he is the beast man. Mm-hmm. Okay, so half man, half beast. What is the symbol of Sagittarius?
Oh, you got me.
It's the archer, but it's half man, half horse.
He's a
Half
centaur.
horse. Oh,
Centaur.
Yeah, he's a centaur.
Yeah.
Right? So now if you go to the opposite, remember you were saying like opposing or opposite signs?
Right.
The opposite of Sagittarius is Gemini. So they're equal and they're opposed.
Yes.
And one dies and one doesn't.
Right. And yeah, because Enkidu goes to the underworld,
Yeah.
but also in the beginning, they battle and Gilgamesh defeats Enkidu. But in the process, he gains respect for him, but he still defeats him in their first battle.
Yes, and this is like,
So it's similar to.
and remember, Gilgamesh, which is a god, he would have sex with the female women,
Yeah.
and same with the motif of the Nephilim, you know, and it's the same with Rhea and Mars.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same motif over and over again. And if you even want to go even further, let me see if I got this here. Oh, yeah. So now, this is really crazy because so when they were going to kill Romulus and Remus, when they found out, what do? They put them in the basket and they sent them down the river, the Tiber River in Rome. So who else is sent down the river in a basket? Moses, because the Pharaoh was going to kill him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sargon the Great.
Sargon.
Did you know that? Sargon the Great, he was saved as a baby, put in a basket and sent down the Euphrates. That's his story. Now, Isis, here you get with Isis and Horus. After Horus was born, Set was looking for him to kill Horus because he didn't want that child because he knew it would usurp him. So Isis hid baby Horus in a basket in the Nile reeds to hide him from Set.
Of course.
And the same with, King Herod was looking for Jesus. So it's like you have the same exact story over and over and over again.
Wow.
Yep, and he was actually born like the little manger was like made of straw, reeds or whatever from the barn. Yeah. And there's a freaking bright star in the sky and whatever. I mean, it's just it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for like 2 more hours about this before I got too tired.
And I do wonder if the thing with the perfect sarcophagus set has it made, and he's like, anyone who, like, everybody can try it, and if you fit, you can have it, it's yours. And then of course everybody tries it, it doesn't fit, but Osiris lays in there and it's perfect for him, and then they nail it shut and push him out on the river, and the same thing, and he goes down the river.
He goes floating down the river in a box.
And they actually are afraid, but it like gets in there and is like woo, takes off. It freaks them out.
These, like I say, these stories, I hear professionals say, oh, these are all just coincidences because they can't realistically be like this. And the more you get into this and the more you know about the stars and how they fit into this, you see it everywhere. And you see the same stories, not just in Mesopotamia, but you see them in Central America. You see them in Mexico. The same symbolism, the same stories. So there has to be a connection. There has to be a way of carrying this knowledge through time and location around the earth. Like it is not a coincidence.
I agree with that. And we were, like Russ was saying in the beginning, we look, a lot of our focus when we're going to these sites is on the actual methods of construction itself. And you can determine some methods just by the remnants of the things that we see. You can tell, like, well, this had to have been done before that, or this or whatever, based on the way the stonework is. But we see so many similarities between the stuff in South America, the stuff in Egypt.
Yep.
That it's like they're using the same tools. They have the exact same mindset of working the stone. And it's very unusual. It's not like anything that we would do today, or that, I mean, it just is so...
It's unique, and
it's
it
very
stands
unique.
out, and you can see the similarities that are... It's similar to looking at the stories.
Yeah.
It pops out at you, and you're like, okay, these people were using the same mentality and workmanship and tools to build these structures.
See, this is what I love, is that we can come from like very different places of study.
Yeah.
And we all come to the very similar conclusions it doesn't matter which way, from looking at the spiritual, the mythology side to like the physical side. And you know, right now, a friend of mine just released an article on the copper in Michigan.
Oh,
And
nice.
and it was found in so shout out. But it's like there had to have been trade. There was trade, and the evidence is coming out that there was trade thousands of years ago between New World and Old World.
Yeah.
You know, so where did like the Old World get all this copper from, and where did all the copper go from the New World? Like it's a huge mystery. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
One answers the
Not a
other.
huge mystery. Yeah. Yep, I agree with you. It can be frustrating because, you know, there's like a system and dogma and academia. So it takes generations for these things to change, but it's great research, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
I know our listeners will love it as well.
absolutely. Tell people where they can find you if they want to, if
And
they
buy
want
your books.
and buy your books. Yeah, I know you got several.
Do
Do you
Oh,
have
my
audiobooks?
I don't.
I don't read.
Well, this is why I do shows like this, because I try to give everything when I'm doing the shows as well. I try so hard to get everything out that's in the books. But if you did want to get the books, like what we talked about today, come from two books, Astral Genesis and Gates of the Anunnaki. And then,
Those are beautiful looking books.
Yep.
thank you. And then if you wanted the crazy out of body experience book, the Astral Experiences.
All right.
So this is that. And also if you want to get into like spiritual Qigong movements and mysticism, Egyptian Postures of Power.
Okay.
And you can find all of this on Amazon under my name, Jason Quitt, or you can go to my website, thecrystalsun.com. And I'm most active on Twitter, or on X now. That's where I'm most active. To
Okay.
find me. Yeah.
That's
What's
also-
your Twitter handle?
That's
I
where I'm
think it's
most active.
Jason_Quitt, Quitt.
I will find you on there. And we will put all this in the show notes. I'll put links to the website and to his X account in the show notes. So check that out if you guys want to go find the books. I'll find the books on Amazon and put links as well.
Yeah.
So
Thank you so much.
We're gonna have to have you back.
Yep,
Clearly.
I was gonna say, when's part 2? That's great. What do we can start on the other like third or quarter or fifth of your slides that you
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I tried to fit everything I possibly
there's
could.
there's like 300 slides in there. We did
Yeah.
like 10.
That's all right. We worked with Randall for years. We know how this goes.
Yeah.
He
Good.
opens up a 400 slide presentation, and we know it's going to take 80.
We look at 2 of them,
Yeah.
talk about it for 4 hours. It's great. Love it, man. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
No, thank you for allowing me to just basically throw it all out there.
That's great. All right. Cheers, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.